Hello and welcome to Sasha Says. I'm Sasha Gardner and I'm so excited to have you here with me as I embark on this new chapter. In this podcast, I'm speaking to incredible people who will be sharing their stories and expertise, and I hope that will help inspire you and help you on your journey. Please also don't forget to press the follow button, like, comment, and share with your friends. It's a small thing for you, but a huge thing for us, and it really does help. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. And today I have a very special guest on the show. I'm really excited to have him on the platform. And I'm also really grateful because he is sharing his personal story about his Microtia journey. And I hope that that will be really valuable for all you guys to hear his story. So with that being said, welcome, Christian.
Thank you. It's a pleasure and honor to be here, and I can't wait to dive right into this with you, Sasha, today.
Christian, could you share your personal experience with Microtia?
I was born with Microtia. You're born with it. You don't really have a choice. I was brought into this world with a bit of a funny left ear, and death from my left ear as well.
So up until you're 25, you had no ear on your left side.
So I think I was 26, 27 when we met. But it's not that I had no ear. I had this part, the lobe, so the bottom part, and then the upper part. This is what I didn't have. All this here. It was a bit of a funny piece of cartilage that was just here. So it wasn't completely missing. So if I had long hair, which was the case, and we'll talk about some of these things later, but with long hair, you'd think I'd have an ear because I had all this part, the bottom part.
This part, yeah.
Exactly. So with hair, it doesn't look like you don't have an ear unless you pull your hair back.
Most people I know that you already know this, but if so the listeners and the viewers can understand, with Microtia, it's usually corrected when you're a child, so around the age of 6 or 7. Some people decide not to do anything at all, and others, they decide to wait until they're a bit older to make that decision. Their parents might want them to make that decision themselves. What was it like in your case? Was it your parents that said, we want you to make the decision on your own, we don't want to make it for you? What was that part of the story?
When I was 7 or 8 years old, I remember I used to live in Lebanon at the time, and we went to Paris with my parents. I can't really remember, but they tell me the story, obviously. We went to Paris to meet with Dr. Firma. She was one of the pioneers in reconstruction surgery for the ears. We went there. We had a consultation. Again, I can't remember anything. And we went back to Lebanon. And then a few years later, when I grew up, I asked my parents, why did I not end up getting the surgery back in the day when we went to see the doctor and so on? And they were a bit scared because when they heard what the procedure was about, they knew that at the age of 7 or 8, I was going to go through a really rough time. And it's not an easy surgery. It's very important to talk about that, and we'll talk about that on both physically and mentally. It's not easy, and we can dive into that. But they weren't comfortable with me going into that surgery. They thought it was a bit too intense. They didn't want to see their child go probably through pain, and they weren't satisfied with some of the results they saw. When they were there, they saw a bunch of people after the surgery, and they weren't really impressed. Obviously, because probably those people, they were fresh out of surgery, so their ear was still swollen. They weren't really impressed. And we parked that for 15 years. Never thought of it. And a few years later, I decided that I was going to go for it. I decided that I was going to go for it for many reasons. And I went for it.
So that is I feel the golden nugget of this whole story, because, if you go through life, and I know that we've used this analogy before, and I'm going to do the finger analogy. If I'm born with 11 fingers and everyone else has got 10, for me, that's my normal, isn't it? Because I've got 11 fingers and I've always had this from birth. And I look around and everyone has 10 fingers. So everyone tells me, oh, actually, if you have a finger removed, then you'll look like us and you'll be normal. But for me, if I remove one of my 11th finger and now I've got 10, I might look like everyone else, but it's not my normal. So my question to you, Christian, is what brought you to that decision? Because I don't think, I don't think it's an easy decision to make, given that you had 26, 27 years of your normal to then jump into that. So how did you reach that decision, and what led you to make that decision to have reconstructive surgery?
I think it's all mind games. It's all mind games in the end. You really believe what's in your head. And I think maybe towards the second part of COVID, when we were all staying at home, we couldn't go out, I got to a point where I lost quite a bit of confidence in myself. Maybe I know where it came from. I'm not sure where it came from, or it was a buildup of all those years. But everything bad that was happening to me, or the reason for me not being happy, or I was blaming everything on my ear. I thought that my ear was the problem, and that's what I believed back then. If you ask me now, it's a completely different story. And I know that it was all in my head. But I did lose a lot of confidence. And I thought that having the surgery was going to solve my problems. And that's why I went for it. I went for the surgery because I thought that it would give me a perfect ear. I'll be able to have, short hair. I'll be able to go out in public and not think about, people judging me because of my ear, or looking at me in a certain way because of it. And also because I didn't want to wonder anymore and be like, okay, what if I had done the surgery? Maybe I would have been a happier person. Or what if I get a perfect looking ear? Maybe I'll be a happier person. I was done with the wondering. I had to make a decision, and that's really why I went for it.
So you said that sometimes people would, you'd get looks and things like that. What do you mean?
Well, for the most part, I had long hair, right? So people couldn't really see my ear. It wasn't. People aren't used to seeing ears like the ears that we had. They're not used to seeing people without an ear or with a really funny ear, because it's something very rare. And naturally, if they don't know about it, and let's say they're looking around and they see your ear, they see that something is different, they're normally going to look at you in a certain way, maybe without necessarily wanting to hurt you or anything, but because it's intriguing. And I do the same whenever I see something different. I look at it, and it's normal.
Of course.
But again, it all goes back to what you believe. I thought that maybe people were only looking at it because they were disgusted, or because, and also it got to a point where I felt that people would like me less because of it, right? Or because for example, with relationships, with girls, I thought I was really scared, let's say, the moment they would find out about my ear. And I was really scared that they would reject me because of that. Of course, I think we spoke about that many times. Well, if someone rejects you because of it, it's the best thing they can do to you, because they don't deserve to be in your life in the first place. Again, these are things that you learn with time. You're not born knowing those things. And that's why I think this podcast is extremely important, is because although, yes, there are normal things to say, it's very important to emphasize on all these things and remind people that at the end of the day, it's all in your head. And you're not just an ear, you're so much more than that. And if something is something beautiful, it makes you different,
I almost felt that I got goosebumps when you said that. And I think certainly in this day and age now, there's so much emphasis on some of the wrong things aesthetically. And this podcast is definitely not. It's not to promote surgery at all. What it's to educate you and help you if you decide to make that decision, what that looks like. And it's not just a case of, okay, I'm going to have the surgery and this is going to fix my problems. Like you clearly highlighted, a lot of the problems are in our head. So,
Yeah.
Christian, how, in terms of the timeline, so did you just wake up one day? I know you said it was during COVID. Was it just a thought, or how long did that process go on for until you decided, okay, now I really want to do it? Because I know that when you and I met, I don't ever think you were fully invested in, okay, it wasn't a question of doing this and you were 100% in. I think you were always quite skeptical, weren't you?
I always was. Even after the surgery, I was still skeptical, especially during the healing phase. No, I never was fully in because again, it's a big surgery. It's a big change in your life. It's important to note as well that it's a piece of it's a cartilage graft, right? So the ear that you get, it's kind of hard. It's not flexible and malleable like a normal ear. And this hinders some of the things you do in life. For example, I used to play rugby. I used to love contact sports. I didn't care because I didn't care because I could with the ear I had before, but now with after the surgery, I need to be a lot more careful. I can't really play rugby.
Yeah,
I can't box. When I want to wear a helmet, for example, when I go skiing,
it
it's a
hurt.
bit harder. Exactly. So you need to get used to all these things, and it's going to change your lifestyle slightly. Now, maybe in your case, you don't ski or you don't play rugby or whatever. But for me, for example, I miss it. And this is one of the things or one of the results of the surgery. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's important to be aware that some differences will stem from this.
And the other point as well is that you are very unique because there's not many people who have microtia, um, that have it, have corrective surgery at your age. So you can speak from both sides of the fence, which will give the listeners and the viewers all of that knowledge, which, a child at 6 or 7, they can't really say that. So that's why all of this is incredibly important for the listeners to fully understand. What did your parents say when you said that you wanted to do the surgery?
Um, I was 27 at the time, uh, independent, and they just supported me. They were here for me every step of the way. And one of the reasons, just to go back to your last question about, I was never fully in. It's important to note as well that it's an expensive surgery if you're not doing it with the NHS as well. So especially in London, and
Yeah.
the money part was always a question mark. Is that like I need to go through a big round of funding to make that surgery happen.
Well,
And that's also one of the reasons why you have to consider it. Of course, it's health, but looking at how much it costs, no, you need to think about it as well.
so let's talk about how we met, because I think this is an amazing story.
It is. It's an amazing and it's also a funny story. It's very serendipitous. When I went into my journey of doing some research around reconstruction and microtia surgery, I obviously surfed the web. Um, I went on Google, typed in ear microtia surgery. I was based in London at the time, so obviously it's going to give me results that are local to me. Um, One of the first articles I saw was an article um, by Dr. Gold. And I opened that article and it was you, Sasha, who I didn't know at the time. You were in that article and it was clearly you talking about your experience and about the surgery. And I found that story extremely inspiring. I'm like, who's that Sasha? I want to meet that Sasha. I want to talk to her because obviously when you start thinking about surgery, it's a big deal. You want to have people you can talk about, people that went through the same thing that can tell you about their experience. So I don't know why, but my first reflex was to go on Facebook and type in Sasha Gardner. That's what I did. And I don't know why, I don't know how, but we had one mutual friend. And that one mutual friend was someone I knew from school that I haven't spoken to in maybe 10, 15 years. I reached out to that friend. I'm like, hey, this is my story. I see that you're connected to Sasha. Can you please introduce us? And within 10 minutes, he sent me your number. I reached out to you. And I think a day or two later, we were meeting for the first time. We went to have a coffee in central London. And this is where our journey started. And this is where my journey of uh, thinking seriously about the surgery started as well.
So before we dive into the surgery itself, I wanted to touch on, you said that you thought that it was the ear, the lack of the ear was causing you self-esteem issues, confidence issues. In what sense? Did you get bullied at school?
Yeah, I think we can tie this back to also your previous question about pre-surgery and post-surgery, because I had like
Yeah.
27 years of of living with a bit of a funny ear. Honestly, I don't know if I'm lucky in that sense. I never really got bullied. I don't know why. I don't know how.
That's
Maybe it's because I
amazing.
had long hair. Maybe because I was good at hiding it. Maybe it was because of my personality. Maybe I was able to earn respect outside of this. I don't really know what it is, but I never really got bullied. Of course, people would tell you stupid things sometimes, and when you're around kids, sometimes they don't know what they're saying, and they would say things that hurt. But then it was never really bullying. So I wasn't really ever affected by that, and I think I'm really lucky when it comes to that. Um, so I can't really speak about bullying. And then to your question about how like it's so hard to summarize so many years in just a few sentences, but I was always living with this fear of what's gonna happen when this person that doesn't know is gonna find out. It's
I
like
can
living on
totally
the
relate to
edge.
that. Yeah.
You don't know if you're gonna fall and die or you're just gonna.
Yeah.
It was always living with that fear. And in my head, the outcome was always going to be negative. So you start building negative thoughts in your mind
Well,
constantly,
yeah.
constantly, constantly. And I guess the surgery was a path to get out of this, of that negative thinking. But thinking about it again, it's not the surgery. The surgery helped me work on my mental strength and mental well-being. So I removed those negative thoughts. If you ask me today, do you regret going through the surgery? I absolutely don't regret it. But if you tell me, maybe if you had done therapy before the surgery, maybe if you had spoken about it to more people, maybe if you had learned about Microtia and how to live with it from other people, maybe I would have never went through the surgery. Maybe I would have never not felt confident enough and had to go through this. And I remember once I was in Lebanon, I was in the mountains. There was this party, and there was a guy dancing right next to the speakers, and he was like dancing, having fun. And he was completely like no hair, completely shaved. And I look at him and like, oh my God, he has the same ear as me. It was the first time ever that I met someone that had the exact same ear as me. And he was so happy. He was dancing. He was having the best time of his life. And I go to him. I just pull my hair back, and I'm like, we have the same ear. It was like a revelation. And then we started talking about it, and the guy was in love with his ear. He was like, it's a gift from God. I'm happy that I'm, you know, different in that sense. And it's like I've never seen someone so positive ever in my life before because of the ear they have. Whereas me on the opposite side, I was having a really bad time because of it. And this goes back to to perception and your mind. Someone can have it and be extremely happy and not care about doing the surgery, and someone also can have the condition and say, okay, I'm not okay with this funny ear. I want to try to do something to feel better or to look better. So it's really funny.
I suppose it goes back to you just really need to be happy with yourself and inside first before making any big decisions. And,
Yeah.
That's not, even if it's anything else, lack of ear or, whatever it is, even if it's not visible. I think what you've just said has highlighted something incredibly important, which is self-worth, valuing yourself and confidence. And if you can master that, then perhaps you might not need to make a decision to do any type of surgery or anything else or make any big decisions. I think we could all just get a lot better with taking care of our mental health and making sure that we make decisions when we're in the right space. But going back to you, Christian, you made the decision, and what was that like for you? Was there any time when you felt that you didn't want to do it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And it's not because I didn't want to do the surgery. And we're gonna dive into a super sensitive topic now, but it's because I think of how badly I was treated by the doctor's administration. And I was disgusted by the way they were handling the whole thing. You're going into something that is absolutely life-changing. You're spending, I don't know how many $1,000.
Yeah.
And they just look at you as a number, as someone that's just gonna get a new year like a piece of meat.
Yeah.
There was really no emotions involved from their end. And that I really hated, to the point where I didn't want to do it just because of the doctor's assistant.
I
And
remember.
and yeah, I remember I had to involve you at some point because it was getting heated. Uh,
I got very upset
yeah,
because, like you say, you felt like you were a number and not a person. And it's
yeah.
such a big life-changing decision. He's now retired.
I think I was probably his last
You know, his last.
reconstruction. I think, or one before the last, because I remember the last time I saw him at the clinic, I was like, "Do you have any more surgeries?" He said, "I might have to do one last one," and I think he was so fed up. He just wanted to retire. Uh, Maybe that's one of the reasons why they didn't want to give me any kind of attention or care in that sense of making me feel a bit special. But yeah.
Did you have any other doubts?
I was worried that the ear wouldn't look good aesthetically. Uh, the whole reason why I was doing it is to have a good looking ear. But I think the fact that we kind of spoke a lot before the surgery was really helpful, because you did set the expectation with me of, it's never going to look perfect. You should know that, right? And this is really important for every person that's listening to that podcast, is that this surgery is not going to give you a perfect looking ear. No, it's not going to give you that. Maybe they're going to give you a good one, and it really depends on the case by case. You're going to get an ear. I love the ear I have now. It looks great
Looks
from that
amazing.
angle. Yeah, going through the surgery itself wasn't easy. It wasn't easy in the sense that it's two surgeries, it's two stages that are a few months apart, 5 to 6 months apart. The first one obviously is the cartilage graft, and they put the cartilage under the skin, and the skin is stuck to your head. And the second stage is where they cut behind the ear, they open it, they do a skin graft, and they put the skin on the ear, so they detach it. The ribs part is the most painful part, because they take cartilage from the ribs. It's as if you have broken ribs. So 4 months, it felt like I had broken ribs, but I could move, I could walk. I was trying to recover as quickly as possible by eating well, by walking every day, by staying healthy, so on and so forth. And the second stage is the one where I got a bit scared after the surgery, because, well, obviously you have all the drains going out of your ear, which is normal because they need to suck out the blood. This didn't hurt, to be honest. I don't know why, but I think the second surgery, for the anesthesia, they gave me something a lot stronger than the first one, or very different. Then when I woke up, after the after effects of whatever they gave me were terrible. I felt like shit for like 3 months after the surgery. As in,
Oh
physically,
no.
mentally. The drugs were really, really strong compared to the first
Yeah.
surgery. And it didn't allow me to feel at ease with the surgery itself. So it's only after a few months when I started realizing what had really happened and when my ear started to look a bit better, because obviously it's swollen after the surgery, that I was really able to start doing the work of myself about feeling better. Because I'm not going to lie to you, right after the surgery, I was not happy with the result because, like, you take the bandage off, your ear is absolutely swollen. You're like, what have I done to myself? And then you need to be patient with it. It's aesthetic surgery. It takes time to get better, to look better. But it was really hard in the beginning. I'm like, why did I go through all of this to get, an ear like this? That's not what I want. And that was a big, big, big punch in the face. And this is the work that I had to do after. I had to do work on that punch in the face that the results of the surgery weren't exactly what I had expected them to be. And this is when the real mental and the psychological work started. And I'm very thankful because this is the work that I did on myself after the surgery that made me today the best version of myself. So like today, I can tell you with confidence that I'm the happiest I've ever been. But it's not because of the surgery. It's because of that mental and physical work that I had to do on myself after the surgery to feel good. And it's really important that whether you decide to do the surgery or not, the mental and physical aspect of things is crucial to your well-being. Everyone says it. It's all over Instagram. Whatever you open on your phone, they're going to tell you,
Yeah.
eat well, work out. It's not a myth. It works. You have to do it. You have to be disciplined with it, and it's probably the key to success and to being happy in life. To be honest.
If you were to give any advice, you would say work on your mental health first, work on yourself before making a decision like that. Do you think that if you could turn back time, do you wish that you had done it the other way around? Did the work on yourself first and then considered reconstructive surgery? Or do you think it was meant to happen that way around?
If I could have reached the same level of happiness and satisfaction in life as I'm in today without doing the surgery and because of doing that mental work before, I think I would have preferred that. But
Okay, that's interesting.
it's really hard to say because now it's a completely different story. But yeah, again, going back to the fact that this year is a bit harder, right? So when you sleep on it, when you do stuff, it's different. So it's a bit of a change in your lifestyle. You get used to it. You get used to it, of course, and it doesn't bother anymore. But I would love to go and play rugby now. Oh,
Yeah.
I would love to go and play rugby now, but I can't if there's contact. Of course, I can take a ball and play touch rugby with whoever, but I can't play actual rugby.
Do you sleep on a soft pillow?
You told me, you made me try a pillow um,
I know you did
back in
one
the
better than
day,
me.
and I got that exact same pillow. That's the one I use. But also, my ex-girlfriend back at the time, she got me a pillow with a hole in the middle.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
it's called pillow with a hole. I still use
Yeah.
it. I use it every night. Sometimes when I feel like I've been on that side a bit too much and it might be uncomfortable, I just switch to that pillow, and it's amazing. Anyone who goes through that surgery or through whichever ear surgery needs to get that pillow.
How long did it take after your second stage for you to fully heal and then be out living your life again?
A few months, I think. It took me, I think, 6 months to be comfortable again. Not that I wasn't going out. I was going out, but I wasn't comfortable. I only started being comfortable again after my ear started healing properly, after I healed properly, and after I did all that work on uh, on what's in here.
And what about your friends? Were your friends supportive? What were your friends saying about
Yeah,
your
no,
Microtia?
like I'm so lucky. I'm originally from Lebanon. I moved to the UK 6 years ago, and I'm very lucky to have 3 to 4 of my really closest friends that are living here. So they were here every step of the way. But also, My ex-girlfriend at the time was probably the best support I could have asked for. I think without her, right now, I could have been in a depression. You know, if she wasn't by my side when that happened and supporting me, I think as well it would have been a completely different story. So yeah, having her by my side back then was essential.
I think it's important to know that if you are going to do something like that, you do need to have support around you.
Yes, if you don't have support around you, I would consider the surgery again. You need to have people around you. It's really important.
And will your work fine with you having time off?
I took a week off, and then it was I took a week off for the surgery. Obviously, it was two surgeries, so I took 2 weeks off, 6 months apart, which is really nothing. And my mom came to be here and help me out. I forgot to mention that, obviously, that my mom flew over and spent some time with me and helped me with everything. Again,
Hello, Mum. I
nothing,
met your mum. She's
nothing,
really nice.
nothing compares the support and the love and the care a mother can
Well,
give you as well. So I was very lucky in that sense. But it was COVID back then, right? So we were all working from home. Boom, I had
perfect.
the surgery for a week, and then the next Monday I was on that exact same desk
Head
working
bandage.
with the head bandage. Yeah, my camera was off most of the time. I
Yeah.
didn't want to scare my clients or my colleagues. But yeah.
So, Christian, aside from the surgery, I'd like to just touch on the hearing element of the microtia. So do you feel that you struggle with that? Because I know that aesthetically you now have two ears, but you do have the lack of hearing, and what that's like for you. I know obviously you've always had this, but what are your challenges with your hearing loss?
Being in a quiet environment, I have absolutely no problems whatsoever. I can hear everything perfectly fine. Wherever they come from, the right side, the left side, the front side, or the back side. That's not a problem. It becomes a problem when it's very noisy, when there's a lot of people around me. And let's say, well, naturally my hearing is gonna shift to what's happening on the right hand side because that's where I can hear. So if we're, let's say, in a social setting or a big group or on a table having dinner, I would, have this conversation on the right hand side. And if someone would talk to me on the left hand side, there's a chance I'm not gonna hear that because I'm so engaged there, and my vision isn't on the left hand side. I think vision for us is extremely important as well because we know that we can't hear, so we use our vision a lot to try and get those hearing signals as well. So yes, and in very busy social settings, I struggle a bit with being everywhere. It's just too much going on at the same time. Sometimes I need to take a deep breath. Sometimes it's so noisy that I can't focus anymore, that I can't engage in conversations. But I'm working on that. I'm working on that in the sense that it's okay if I can't hear what's going on there. I'm just gonna focus on the conversation I'm having, and then I'll move on to something else instead of trying to be everywhere at the same time.
Do you find that, say, you're in a busy room and you're trying to keep up with the conversations and you're trying to hear people, do you get tired, or you just isolate and pull back and maybe just speak to the person next to you? What's that like for you?
Yeah, sometimes it just happens naturally without me even noticing. I don't know if it's something specific to us or to everyone, but sometimes social settings can be really tiring and
Yes,
draining.
I'm the same.
It's like even for work, for example, when I go to conferences, and conferences, it's like people talking, it's so loud. You have this constant voice of people talking. Within 10 minutes, I'm like, I can't do this. I need to go somewhere quiet. But no, apart from that, I think I've been good with my hearing. Also, at the same time, sometimes I hear things that other people that have like that can hear from their 2 ears don't hear. I think when it comes to vibrations, I remember at home back in Lebanon, a lot of times I would be in my room, which is the room that's the furthest away from the door, from the entrance, and someone would ring the doorbell. No one else would hear it, but I would because of
Wow.
the vibrations. Maybe if I'm laying in bed, so yes, it wasn't. Hearing hasn't really been an issue, apart from the fact that I would love to put two AirPods in, and not one.
Yeah.
Just to see how it feels like to listen from both ears, but yeah, not gonna happen.
Do you remember when I suggested those headphones about 4 or 5 years ago? I got given these headphones and they are on a band, and it's a headphone that doesn't
Yeah,
go into the ear, it goes to the back of the ear, and it vibrates. And for the first time, I heard sound on my right side,
yeah.
and it was so overwhelming that I burst into tears. And it was given to me at like a Christmas lunch, so I felt really embarrassed because it was overwhelming. And I remember telling you, Christian, you need to buy these headphones. And did you try them?
I did. They're very good. They're bone conducting headphones. I think it's from a brand called Aftershocks, and they developed them for people that cycle and run in the city so they can still hear what's going on around them. I did. It works. It's magical. The only thing is that they don't fit properly on my ears at the back, so it's a bit annoying. But I'm sure that there are alternatives as well in the same brand that I could try. I should try it more often. And I did that with my grandfather because he lost his hearing from his left ear or his right ear to an ear infection a year ago. I was at his place in the south of France, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just go to the shop, the electronic shop that's not too far from yours, and I'm gonna get you a gift. I got it for him, connected it to his iPad. He was watching Formula One at the time, and I see him go like this out of
Wow.
nowhere. Like, oh wow, I can hear from both ears again, and it was one of those aha moments. But I don't think he uses it much. I don't think he likes to connect stuff with Bluetooth to his iPad. It's too confusing for him, so he doesn't use it much anymore.
It's really amazing, isn't it? How we don't take it for granted because it's all we know. But even just to try it for the first time, it's it's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. Hearing in my family, funnily enough, there's me, my uncle, my grandfather, my sister's husband, and one more person that doesn't hear from one ear.
Why? How?
Everyone I have, well, I'm not going to tell you the story of how my sister's husband lost his hearing because I don't,
Confidential.
it's,
Tell me when we finish
well,
recording.
basically, no, I think they were, how do you say, hunting.
Okay,
They were
shooting.
hunting
Yes,
and then
yes.
they were shooting and the noise was too loud. That's what happened to him. My uncle because of a surgery, um, and my grandfather because of an ear infection, me because of microtia, and I'm sure I'm missing someone. But imagine all of us sitting on the table, having lunch or dinner together. It's funny. It's funny. We
Well,
all
yeah,
like
because you you have to say to people, oh, you need to go on this side because I can't hear you. Let's switch sides. This is my bad side. This is my good side. And actually, I remember when I met with you, Christian, even when it comes to the headphones, because I can only wear a headphone in my left ear and you can only wear a headphone in your right ear. So it's almost like we get conned because we have to spend, what, 250, £300 for the AirPods and we only use one. So I remember saying to you, do you want to take mine? Because I don't wear it.
that's such a funny story. Yeah, it's like it's a funny story. It's the same with my hearing protection. I go out a lot. I like to party. I like good music, and obviously it's not great because I can only hear from one ear, and I need to protect it. So I went to do custom earplugs, and I'm like, how much is it? He's like 150. I said for one year. He said 70,
Oh,
75.
amazing.
And I'm amazing, 50%. Uh, we didn't talk about the blessings of this of hearing
That's a
from one
blessing.
ear. We can sleep without hearing anything. Just put your ear on the
Yeah.
pillow. Done. The outside world is gone, and that's a blessing. What else? Oh, sometimes when you're out and people are just talking to your non-working ear, they're just you're like, yeah, amazing. You don't want to be involved in the conversation. You just say yes without understanding what they're saying. I'm sure you can relate to that.
I wouldn't do it. If it's like they're talking so much and I just let them talk.
Yeah,
I just
and
literally will agree, but I don't even know what I'm agreeing to. So yeah, 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 yeah.
exactly.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. And you throw in a word here and there just to, make them think you're engaged in the conversation.
There are lots of positives. Because I know that you're into your fitness, and when you go to say classes, spin classes, whatever, and the music's really loud, do you put something in?
Whenever I go to a club or to a bar where the music is really loud and it's not clear and the sound system is terrible, because in a lot of places the sound systems are terrible, and I think the government should do something about the quality of the sound systems in clubs. I wear my earplug. I have it on me 24/7. Everyone should consider one. I did one at the ACS Customs. That they're really good. They do custom made earplugs. But when it comes to fitness and the class, no, not really. The music is not that loud, to be honest. And also, it's okay if it's loud for a short period of time, but then it becomes a problem when it's on an extended period of time, that it starts damaging your ear.
What's this? Play safe now, here tomorrow. ACS. This is not sponsored, by the
ACS.
way.
No, but this is the brand that where I did my earplug. I don't know why I still have the sticker under my desk mat.
So, guys, if you want to get a custom-made earplug, ACS are your best bet. Disclaimer: this is not sponsored, I promise.
No.
Okay. And then life now with an ear. So, what does that look like for you? Because I haven't seen you for quite a long time now. How has life changed? How are things? How are things different for you?
They're different in so many ways. Number one, I know that I don't have a perfect looking ear, and if people want to take a close look, they will notice that something happened to my ear. But you know what? I made peace with it. I don't care anymore, which is the best thing ever. So it's not a problem anymore when I go out, right? Whenever I used to get a haircut in the past, I'm like, okay, I don't want to get a haircut, maybe because my ear is gonna show a bit more. Now I wouldn't go out like for a week after the haircut because I wanted my hair to grow back so it covers my ear. Now I just go and I get a haircut, and I'm up and running 2 seconds later. I don't care anymore. It's the best feeling ever not to care anymore. And it's part of that all that mental work I did. But some people are curious. They ask you about it as well. They're like, "Oh, what happened? What happened to your ear? Like, why is it this way or that way?" And you tell them the story, and for the most part, or at least 100% of the time, they find it inspiring and they find it really nice when I speak up, and they respect it. So it's not something I shy away from anymore. It's something that I'm more than happy to talk about, and I feel extremely comfortable being on that podcast and talking about my story for the first time. It feels really natural because again, it's not a problem for me anymore, and I work on it so it never becomes a problem. And I want to help people. I want to make them aware of that, and in whichever way I can help, I'm here.
Yes, I went into a coffee shop and I used to get my coffee from there every day, and I had my hair up. Do you remember I told you? And the guy, "Oh, hello, Sasha. I was waiting for my coffee." He said, "Do you play rugby?" I said, "No." He said, "Oh, you have." I said, "No, I don't. Why?" He said, "Oh, you have a funny ear," and just walked off. And I thought, part of me wanted to cry, and then I stopped and said, "Sasha, don't be so ridiculous," because naturally because it is on the side of our head, like people are curious, aren't they? And like you said, they just they will just ask questions, but it's really important to hold your own and always go back to yourself and know that that is not the most important thing. It isn't. It's about how we feel. It's not about what we look like, and that goes beyond ears. That's with everything. Beauty does come from within, and I feel like sometimes people just put more importance on the things that are not important.
Yeah, fully agreed. It happened to me recently, actually. I was at the gym and a guy looks at me and he's like, you're I can see that you're a good jiu-jitsu player or whatever. And
What
no, because he thought my ear looked like a cauliflower ear from martial arts, and I'm like, no man, it's from rugby. It's not. It's from rugby. It's not from jiu-jitsu. because also
Is that what
rugby
you said?
players have cauliflower ears.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can get away with it. You can say that it's because of martial arts or rugby. I like it. It's cool.
You can, if you're getting those questions a lot, it gets a bit tiring after a while saying the same story over and over again. So I guess people handle it in different ways, don't they?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm conscious of your time because I've been trying to get you on the podcast for so long now, and I know you're really busy. But I just wanted to ask you, aside from the points that you made, what else has changed since like post surgery?
I think I'm a completely different person. Again, the best version of myself, the happiest I've ever been, and this came from a lot of work. Um, but my perspective on life, my mindset, the way I do things, all of that has changed. I'm a lot more positive, number one. I know what are the things that I need to do to be happy and stay in that positive mindset, and I go after them. I have made a promise to myself that I will always put myself outside of my comfort zone to learn from it, and and basically it's everything I've been doing for the past I, for the past year or so, and it's changed me as a human, and it's taught me so much. Um, and yeah, it all stems from the surgery.
What are you doing to get yourself into that space?
Exercising nonstop, 4 or 5 times a week. I go to the gym on weekdays, and then during the weekend, or I play a game of football with a bunch of friends, or we go on a hike somewhere, or long walk, or we do other kinds of fun sports. Super important. I can't live without it anymore. Physically, I'm in the best shape I've ever been, as
Amazing.
well. So that it feels nice. It feels really nice, and it does help mentally. What am I doing now? It's mostly working out, eating well, making sure I always have a positive, attitude towards life. Focus on my job that consumes, most of my time, of course. And what I did after the surgery, which really helped me, was therapy. I did therapy, and I wanted to work on a specific problem, and that specific problem was related to my ear. I remember we had 10 sessions scheduled. It was so good, or I don't know, I did the work that I had to do. Um, that within 6, 7 sessions, the therapist was like, "Just go home. Don't come here anymore. You're good." And it did feel like a relief. So therapy was a really important part, and I would suggest it as well to anyone who's struggling, if it's from an ear or from a relationship or from anything. Therapy is good. Just make sure to choose the right therapist.
I think that's the key. I think therapy is amazing. And I think therapy has got this whole reputation. It's just got a bad rep, but I think it's seen in a much more positive light now. Therapy is like going to the gym. We take care of our bodies, working out. We should also take care of our minds, more importantly, because they're in sync. So I agree with you, Christian. If you're going through something like this, it's worth thinking about.
For sure. Uh, yeah, I'm sure that, for example, my dad has a completely different perception of therapy than if you ask me. But it's so important, and I think everyone should do it. Even if you're doing good, you should go chat to someone.
Well, tapering off the podcast, if you could say what are your proudest moments, I feel like I already know them, but could you tell us what you're most proud of, please?
In general, in
In
life,
general. In general, what are you most proud of? A few things, small things, big things.
um, I'm I'm mostly thankful for what I have. Let's start with that. I'm healthy. I'm happy. I'm independent. I build a life for myself here in London. So I'm proud of that. I'm really proud of myself for being where I am today, in so many ways, whether it's career wise or again in my head, in my body. I'm proud of what am I proud of? I'm proud of everything.
Certainly your journey, I would say as well. The journey that you've taken and the steps you've made to consistently show up for yourself.
Yes, for sure. Uh, yeah, it's personally, I don't think about it a lot, but if you zoom out a little bit, of course, I should be proud of myself uh, for how I went through this whole process. And it wasn't on my own. I was supported by amazing people. And I think the person that helped me the most was you, Sasha. And we didn't talk a lot about this in this podcast, but you played an immense role in this part of my life. And I will forever be thankful for that.
Oh, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help. And you became a very dear friend of mine and still are, obviously, because we spent a lot of time together. And I'm obviously thankful. I'm thankful to you. Because I remember when I first met you, you came with a long list of questions. Do you remember? We had tea.
on a black paper with white ink. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And no, because I remember you contacted me and said, can we have a call? And then I said, where are you? And you said, in London. I said, let's meet face to face. It's even better. And I remember the long list of questions, and we went through it all. And I kept saying to you, you don't have to have surgery. You shouldn't feel that you have to do it. Do you remember I tried to talk you out of it?
yeah, of
But if you
course.
want to have surgery, this is what it looks like. And I think I didn't have that. So for me, I was a similar age to you when I did my surgery. And it was more a question of taking the leap of faith, but not really having anyone to ask those questions. And that's one of the reasons why I created this platform, because I think that there's not enough information out there in terms of the things that people really need to know. And no one talks about what we have on this on today's show, for the feelings, the thoughts, the expectations, and the detrimental effect that can have if it's not handled correctly. The
I
support.
think you bring up a super important point, and I couldn't agree more with everything that you're saying. But you said something which is very important. And I remember you came with me to my first consultation when we went to see Dr. Gold. The first thing he said, and there's probably something we can say to everyone who's going to listen to that podcast, is you're healthy. You don't need to do the surgery. That's the first thing he said. There's no reason why you should do it. And then it's a battle between you and yourself. You decide if you want to do it. You weigh the pros and cons, but no, in the end, you really don't need to do it. You're perfectly fine the way you are. You're not just your ear. You're so much more than that. And yeah, do the work we were talking about, and I'm sure you'll be fine.
If the listeners want to reach out to you, what's the best way of contacting you?
Gotta be careful with that one. Well, just probably,
Instagram?
Sasha, you can add my full name to the podcast. I wouldn't say Instagram. I'd say probably, this is gonna sound professional, but LinkedIn. Just type in Christian Afif on LinkedIn. You'll find me there. Just send me a message, and it's probably the best place to start.
We've gone through advice and everything, but if you've got any last few words to say specifically to the listeners and the viewers, what would that be, relating to your whole story? Any advice?
Be curious. Ask around. It can be a really daunting process, whether it's for parents or for kids or for people that are going through surgery. Sometimes you feel like you don't have enough resources around you to support you and help you, but I'm sure that there's a lot. Just do a bit of digging, and you will find a lot of answers. You will find an amazing support system, and I'm really happy that we're doing this podcast, we're together on this podcast, because it is serving that purpose as well.
Christian and I have been talking about doing this for so long. And finally we're here. So I hope you guys, you guys appreciate Christian's story. And Christian, I want to thank you so much for coming on today, taking your time. I know you're really busy, but more importantly as well, for being vulnerable and open about your personal story, because I know that you haven't shared your story in this detail before. So I want to personally thank you for that, because it's not an easy thing to do. And, you should be incredibly proud of yourself. And your story is amazing and you're really inspirational. And I really hope that the listeners and the viewers, they listen to your story, and whatever decision that they decide to take, I hope that your story will help them with that, whether that's just giving them advice, because you've covered so many different things. And I hope that it just makes their journey with Microtia a bit easier, because I don't think it's an easy journey. And I think that, stories like your story as well are just really valuable. So I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because because I think it's really amazing having you on the show and sharing everything that you have. So thank you, Christian.
It's been a pleasure. It's been such a beautiful experience. Thank you, Sasha.
Here are your Sasha Says takeaways from Christian's episode. Number 1, true change starts from inside, not in the mirror. Number 2, surgery doesn't fix insecurities. Inner work does. Number 3, feeling whole is about mindset, not appearance. And finally, number 4, inner peace comes from self-acceptance. And that's a wrap on today's episode of Sasha Says. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please be sure to subscribe, share, and leave a review. Your support helps us reach more people and create a space for open, honest, and more empowering conversations. See you next time.